Stephanie Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. And welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about money-making activities that you can take in your business right now. And I'm really excited to share this list with you. I think it's going to be really, really great. I cannot wait to receive the DMs you all are going to send me once you start seeing money rolling in. Yes, even before the end of the year. It is a misconception that you can't make money during the holidays or the end of the year. In fact, some of my students and my colleagues, my friends in the coaching industry, have made the most money in the last couple months of the year. It's just a mindset. People want to buy. They're buying gifts for other people. They want to spoil themselves. Sometimes, especially if you're selling to other entrepreneurs, they might have some money left over that is going to end up going into, taxes and things like that they get to invest back into their business. People have money that they recognize they want to invest into their business before the new year. There are so many incredible reasons to invest in yourself before the end of the year. And you're not the only one who thinks that. There are so many people out there, whether you are a health coach, a life coach, a business coach, a self-love coach. People want to invest in themselves, and more than ever, this is something they take really seriously around this time of year. So you are not crazy, and you are not, it doesn't need to be game over just because we've hit the last several weeks of the year. This can actually be your most money-making weeks in your business if you let it. So that's really the energy I want to have going into this episode and supporting you all with some of these money-making activities. All right, before we jump in, I would love to start with some magic mind wins because, oh my goodness, it has literally been popping over here. I have to turn off I have to literally quit the Slack application on my laptop because notifications are just popping off in our Slack channel for my mastermind. And it has been a joy coaching these incredible students. But yes, sometimes if I'm on a call, I got to turn the whole thing off because they're in there coaching each other, sharing celebrations, asking for coaching from me, literally just sharing wins and updates. It's amazing. And I'm obsessed with it. So I wanted to go over some wins that I think you all would love to hear, starting with one of my students that originally launched her program and has wanted some coaching on her mindset, on her pricing. It's a completely new offer that she's been offering in her business. And through our coaching, we realized that she needed to raise the price. So we raised the price. We shifted the structure just a little bit to support her and to support her students a little bit better. After coaching, I really showed her brain and showed her some thoughts that she was having, and that the decisions she made around the offer originally weren't necessarily in the highest way of thinking for her best students and for her business. So since we've made those shifts, it has been selling like hot cakes. It has been incredible. Today, she just posted she had her fifth sale at this brand new pricing, which is a multi four-figure pricing. She has made back her investment from the mastermind. She's been celebrating sales call after sales call after sales call after sales call. Like almost every single day, she's booking multiple calls a day. This week, at the beginning of the week, she posted that she has 5 sales calls coming up this week, and she feels super confident going in just because we worked on her mindset, just because I reminded her who she is. And that is really the value of coaching, right? This is really the value of coaching, is me showing her her brain and her thoughts and how she can show up and create incredible sales in her business. All right. I'm also celebrating another student who secured spots for a free consultation call that she's offering inside her masterclass. And she hasn't even had her masterclass yet. They said that they wanted to just jump on and chat even before the masterclass, which is incredible messaging and a really great way of connecting with your clients. One of my students is celebrating 37 students inside her free masterclass after just a couple of days of talking about it. Another one of my students was feeling sick, and she's celebrating that even though she's sick, she's still selling from her couch. She's repurposing content, and she's just letting it be simple and easy. I love that. And that is really, really the point of the mastermind, is to help you make more sales, doing less work, letting it be simple and easy. Another one of my students is celebrating that someone she's never spoken to followed her and then booked a sales call after her masterclass launch. And she said, it's always the lurkers. Yes, isn't that right? It is always the lurkers. It's always about people. It's always those people who you've never heard of. Sometimes they've never messaged you before, and out of the blue, they're like, all right, I've binged all your content and I have to work with you. You are the one. So that's just a reminder that even though you're not hearing messages and comments and seeing tons and tons of likes, it doesn't mean that your message isn't resonating. It doesn't mean that your frequency is not being felt and received by your best people. I wanted to celebrate another student who had an amazing coaching call tonight. Her students are seeing amazing results, landing brand deals. Their reels are hitting incredible views. She's an Instagram coach, and photographers are selling out her Christmas photographs. Their Christmas photo shoots, not photographs. She said, I've always cared about my students' success, but since being in Magic Mind, it's been really working on me truly improving as a coach and figuring out how I can go the extra mile and support my students, because me being a better coach means them seeing crazier results, which means me being able to share these incredible results and testimonials to sell my program even easier. Thank you, Tiffany, for challenging me to look at things differently. Yes, I love that so, so much. And then lastly, one of my students booked a one-on-one client. She serves couples, and she said her husband wasn't ready to do the work, but she was. And that is amazing. She works with both individuals and couples, and one of her best clients, or one of her best potential clients, ended up saying yes on the call because she was ready to do the work. And we're always celebrating people who are ready to do the work. I love that so much. All right, let's talk about some money making activities after we've gotten that incredible surge and energy from all of my students who are making money in the mastermind, which I love. I can talk about my students all day. I could talk about Magic Mind all day. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love this round. There's something about this round. I don't know what it is, the level of commitment and dedication and people just really showing up for themselves, for their business, going all in. It is not one foot in and one foot out. Like these students, my students are come hell or high water. I am going to make money in my business. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to experiment. I'm going to test. I'm going to evaluate, and I'm going to get what I came for. And every single one of them came to the live event in Oakland, some of them coming from Vegas and LA and Canada and other places around the world to be there in person. I knew it as soon as every single one of them told me, hey, I'm going to be there at the live event. I'm going to find a way to make it happen. I was like, damn, this is going to be an incredible round. So if you want to be in the next round of Magic Mind, the early enrollment week starts December 11th, ends December 15th. So you want to get in through early enrollment between those dates in order to join us for the next round. And all of the info will be in the show notes below. You can always DM me if you've got any questions, and we'll make sure you're in for that next round. All right. So let's talk about these money-making activities. So number one is hiring a coach. If you've made it through this entire year or the entire time of your business without working with a coach, or without working with a coach that's super, super aligned to exactly what you need as a business mentor, and you've been DIYing it on your own, it's time to call in some help, right? I love you and you are so powerful on your own. But if you aren't seeing the results you want, or you want to see more results, you constantly find yourself taking a really long time to make decisions, or you go long stretches without seeing money in your business, it's time to work with a mentor. And I love group programs because it helps to normalize those ups and downs in business, and you get to learn lessons that other people are going through, right? Like being in a group allows you and challenges you to be in a space where you are, someone else asked something that you didn't even know how to ask, or maybe it's not even something that you're going through in your business right now, but down the line, 3 weeks from now, you heard coaching on a call that wasn't applicable, and now it is applicable. And you're like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I listened to that on the call. And that was exactly what I needed to hear in order to make a powerful decision, or to reveal the thoughts that were happening for you so that you can, move forward in your business in a powerful way. And so just being able to be in a group of people is such a powerful thing as a business owner. My Magic Mind student said, Tiffany, I'm so glad we have this community. Seeing other women in Magic Mind take action steps based on the same things we're learning is so inspiring. I'm going to talk about this when I coach my students and in my course, because this is what I'm trying to create in there too. And I love that because I felt the exact same way, especially when I joined my first mastermind, and I love being in masterminds. I'm in one right now. And I think it just creates such an incredible space, an incredible community, people that you grow with, people that you learn with. And it is just an incredible bond with other people and an incredible way to learn. So even if you think of it from just a logical perspective, like hiring someone into your business who's already built a successful business, which is something that you haven't done before, right? Or at least maybe not in the capacity yet that you desire, and just helping you to guide you and point things out to you and be like, hey, why are you doing that? What are your thoughts? Or maybe I don't think this is such a good idea. What is your intention behind this? Why do you think this is going to help create your result instead of this, right? Just to help show you your blind spots and to identify what's happening in your brain is so, so helpful. A lot of what I do is helping my clients see their own brains. It's not always about what they're doing, it's about what they're thinking as they're doing it, right? So that's something that I think is incredibly important. That is the biggest money making activity, biggest investment. My first, I would say, 2 years in business, every single penny I made, I invested it back in coaching because I realized that my most important, most crucial number one asset is my brain. And if I'm investing in my brain and I am investing in getting coached and having top of the line coaching, incredible teachings, and trainings in marketing and in sales from an incredible business coach who has results that I want and is living life the way I want. That's really important too. Not just someone who has incredible results, but is working 24/7, who's hustling or never spends time with family. Like, I want someone who has incredible results and is able to spend time with their kids and their family, and they're joyful. They live a life that I desire, right? For me and my daughter. And so that's really important too, to really think about those things and to take that into consideration as you're building your business. All right. The second money making activity is making an offer. So this could look like sending an email, going to a networking event in person and making a pitch to somebody, or connecting online with them, sending out an Instagram post, putting something out there that offers value to your best clients, right? This should take like 20 minutes tops to create an offer and to put something out there, especially a post, an email. Like, if it's taking really, really long for you to do this, try to start number one, before you even do anything, number one, identify what you're thinking when you are creating the post. Are you thinking, I need this to sound perfect, and I'm not sure this makes sense, and I need to add hashtags, and maybe I should do this on Canva, and maybe I should, add this in my brand colors, and it doesn't look good enough, and the sizing doesn't look right, and you're in your head all the time about wanting it to appear perfect or wanting it to appear presentable or aesthetic, or you're really stressing out about it being the perfect messaging and you don't put anything out there unless it's absolutely top-notch perfect. Those things are getting in the way of you selling. Like, let's just be real. You could be making so much more money, and there are people out there making more money than you who are just throwing out content and posts. Because here's the thing, and you might not want to hear this. I don't love thinking about it sometimes either, but it's helped me so much in my own content creation journey, because as coaches, the biggest thing that we're doing is we're creating clients through our content, right? We are showing up. We are creating a community online, some type of space, whether it's TikTok or YouTube or Instagram. For me, it's Instagram. And for a lot of my students, it's Instagram. And so you are creating a space where you are building this level of trust and personal connection and breakthroughs, where they have breakthroughs without ever even paying you a penny. That takes a certain level of consistency, and not just once or twice or sometimes here and there, 1 month off, 1 month on, take a break for a couple months, come back, throw up one post, and then ghost again. No, it's a level of frequency. Now, that doesn't have to mean every single day, right? But it is consistency that builds this. It is commitment that builds this. It is you showing up and continuing to show up, even when you know or feel or think, oh, this is not my best work, or, oh, this could look better, or, oh, this could sound better, or, oh, this should be more specific, right? I mean, be intentional with your content, and writing copy is something that you 100% should be working on, growing and learning within. It's a skill set of its own, right? That's one of the big things that we work on inside Magic Mind, is writing really good copy. However, sometimes when it comes to creating content and putting yourself out there, it's the quantity, not the quality. So just putting something out there that you think, because here's why I say that. Your brain is telling you, oh, this doesn't hit. This is not a fire caption. This doesn't resonate. I don't blah, 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 right? we try so hard to make it sound perfect and aesthetic. And sometimes we add in all these flowery words and this really beautiful, fluffy language. And we use these, eloquent, this type of writing that we're like, ooh, that makes me sound really, smart and educated and wise. And like, I know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And I get that, especially as a published author and someone who used to do writing for business and for corporate settings. And, I was a communication major. So all I did was write essays. So I think like MLA format, gotta like, do a works cited. I have to like, everything has to be in tip top shape. I got to follow all the rules. I got to like meet all the standards on the rubric. Like I want it to sound, nice and professional and presentable and use these big words and wow my audience. That's what we're taught in school. Writing copy is essentially the exact opposite. And I think that so many of us resist that, especially as artistic, creative writers, because we're like, oh, but I want people to experience my magic and my work. And this is my essence. This is the way I express myself. And I never, ever, ever want you to water that down. But I also want you to see how writing copy and connecting to your best clients doesn't have to take that, right? It doesn't have to take you, pulling out all the stops. Sometimes the simplest way that you can say something that's said in like language that a 5-year-old would understand is the most simplest way where someone reads this and there's no room for misinterpretation. And they're like, what? Yep. Love that. Sold. Let's do it. Let's go. Right. And then we're like, wait, what? You got sold off of that? Sometimes I'll spend like, quite a while sitting down and writing this email. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is so good. And then I'm like, this is going to have amazing, such an amazing response. And then it's like crickets, or people don't really like open it, or I don't really get a lot of responses or whatever. But I throw something up on like a notes app on my phone, take a screenshot, throw it up on Instagram with some like what I think is like a jank ass caption. I'm like, okay, whatever. This is my thing for the day. Like, this is just my thought. I'm just going to throw it out there. We'll just see what happens. Throw my phone away and then like open it a couple hours later and it's popping. There's shares on shares on shares. There's like the most saves I've ever seen. Comments on comments going like, I needed to hear this. Oh my God, this is amazing. I'm like, what? And if you ask anyone who's been in the online space or creates content or is a coach, they're always going to tell you like it's the stuff that you never think, like the simplest things that go viral, or like, the goal isn't to go viral. Especially as a coach, as an entrepreneur, like you want to reach your most aligned people, right? And sometimes most of the time going viral is not going to achieve that result. And so what I mean is sometimes you can create a piece of content that you think is just like, oh, everyone knows this. Like, why do I even have to create this? Okay, this is really simple, whatever, gonna throw it up. And it blows people's minds because we just think in a very different way and we have a different perspective than our best clients. Okay. So that is number 2, is making an offer and getting really simple, like letting it be simple when you show up and when you allow yourself to be seen, when you allow yourself to be experienced. Don't overthink it. This is something I work on a lot inside Magic Mind, is instead of like perfect content, amazing content that like ticks all the boxes, right? Because it's like, it's not just one piece of content that hits everything. It's your content as a whole. Your content is going to be a bulk of work. It's going to be like almost like a portfolio, right? That you create over time, that someone sees this post from you and then that post and then another post and then this post said in this way. Maybe you repurpose something because some people didn't see it or someone needs to hear it again. It's like your content is your line of communication to your best clients. And so it isn't about perfecting the messaging in every single post. It's about how clearly can I articulate this and spend time in my client's brain. I always train my Magic Mind students in my mastermind to think less about you and your thoughts and your hangups and what you think you need and your desire for perfection and your desire for an aesthetic feed and your desire for posting at the right time. And instead just focusing on, what does my best client need to hear today? What is the thing that will absolutely change everything for them? How can I say it in a really simple way that's easy to understand, right? And typically when we post and create content in that energy, that's when we get the best results. All right. Okay. So number 3 is working on your thoughts around money. So this is huge. And this is going to be, what you do in the start of your business. This is what you're going to do to create 6 figures in your business. This is what you're going to do to create millions in your business. It's just never going to end. Like, it's going to look different at each stage. Like in the beginning, it might feel really, really treacherous and draining, and it's going to bring up a lot of stuff. There might be tears, there might be worthiness wounds, there might be a lot of things going on in the beginning, and then it might just kind of get a little easier. It'll be more like maintenance, but you're always going to think about your thoughts around money. You're always going to think about what you think about money. And I think this is a really great place to start. So in my foundational course, Business Activation Academy, I start with your mindset around money, because if you watch your dad, hustle and grind his entire life like I did with mine, and you go into starting your business and you don't think there's any other way of making money, you don't think there's any other way of signing clients, you don't think there's any other way of operating in your business, you're also going to grind yourself into the ground for years and years and years and years and years, unless you change that pattern, you change that projection you have running in your brain, right? So I call this rewiring patterns, rewiring cycles, right? You're literally breaking generational cycles. You're rewiring subconscious patterns in your brain. And this is a really huge part of manifestation and money manifestation and building your business and creating the reality that you desire. And I think this is so powerful because everything that we create in our reality starts with the thoughts that we have inside our head. Our thoughts create our reality. And so when we're thinking these subconscious thoughts about money, and money is evil and money is bad and money is only for people who are super greedy, and everyone who's evil, everyone who is rich is evil, and I have to work really hard because that's what makes me, conscious and ethical, or all of these things that we might think around money, like, we really have to be aware or they're going to start running the show, right? And you do not want to be a business owner that has these really, really, really unhealthy thoughts and really unhealthy connection with money running the show, like running your marketing, running your sales calls, writing your copy, meeting with clients, right? You want to be very aware of what you're thinking about money. And there's a couple of aspects to this. So it's not just what do you think about money, it's what exactly do you think about your pricing for your offer? What exactly do you feel about receiving money? Is it hard for you to receive money? Is it hard for you to ask for money, ask for the sale? Does it make you feel sleazy? When you're celebrating a money win, does it feel really hard for you to talk about money? Like, if you were to think about posting a money win on your stories right now, do you feel like you're kind of clamming up and feeling anxious? Or do you feel like, yeah, I could totally do that right now? Love that. I love celebrating myself, right? What thoughts come up for you, right? Is it, oh my gosh, what are people going to think about me? They're going to think that I'm sleazy and all I ever care about is the money. Or is it, I'm going to inspire so many other women to also make money. And I love talking about money, and money just lights me up, right? What kind of relationship do you have with money? One of the biggest things I did was heal my money story. Most of you know that I was a teen single mom on food stamps, barely able to make, like, I used to joke that I would have sleep for dinner because I would be so hungry and I didn't have the money to pay for food. And either I would go to like McDonald's and get something really, really, really super cheap, if like my food stamps had expired for that month. And I would just go to sleep early just so that I wouldn't be up and awake for several more hours feeling super hungry, right? And it's kind of sad, thinking about it and joking about it. But that was my reality back then. And that was how I lived my life. And I used to think like, oh, I could never afford a house in the Bay Area where I live right now, right? It's one of the most expensive places to live in the country. One home is like $1 million for like two bedrooms, right? Right. That's normal out here. Super, super normal. Most of the houses, if not all of the houses, are over $1 million. And that's like two bedrooms, three bedrooms, right? Like even this really, really small, old rundown house is easily $1 million. And I used to think, how could I ever afford a home? And now I'm actually shopping for a home to buy and to be a homeowner in the Bay Area. And so I just want you to know that, like, if I can come from being a single mom that went into the bank to beg the banker to waive my overdraft fee because I could not afford the $35, I was already in the negatives. And now I'm building what's about to be $1 million business. I promise you can also rewrite your money story. Okay. All right. So, thinking about your pricing, thinking about receiving money, thinking about your thoughts, or what are your thoughts about making money, doing what you do, and being worthy of money. One of the best books I first read about money was You Are a Badass at Making Money. I also loved Rich as Fuck by Amanda Francis. There's also Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I've worked with a money mentor. I've taken courses on money and money energetics. This is something that I teach in Magic Mind for my mastermind students to help them grasp the concept of money energetics and being a magnet for money. And that's something that's really powerful because all we're doing essentially is selling in our businesses, right? Everything we do kind of adds up to us making sales, and sales are the oxygen of our business. So if you're not selling, your business isn't growing, right? And of course, as business owners, we have, up seasons, down seasons, everything in the middle. And so what I teach my students inside the mastermind is how to turn the money faucet on and how to turn it off. So, when you're on, this is how I sell. This is how I make money. This is my strategy for making money. When I turn on the faucet, I make money. And when I turn it off, I am resting. I'm on vacation. I'm spending time with my family. I'm not working, right? So, how to turn that on and off in your business, which I think is so important. So really thinking about your beliefs, your subconscious patterns around money, your patterns of spending, investing, saving. That's all extremely important so that you can identify where you're at with your money story. What have you been taught growing up from your childhood, from your parents? What did you see people around you do, say, be around money? What are the things that you still hear your friends and people around you say about money, right? This is a really great place to start and to really identify where you stand in your money story so you can start making more money. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is your work, your revenue generating activities, right? Let's just call it that. Your activities, your schedule. There's so many things that you can be working on, right? So really being clear and aware of where your time is going. Is it busy work, like spending hours on Canva creating graphics or redoing your whole website or creating content, that takes hours and hours and hours, right? Like there has to be a time where you really break down what you're doing for your bigger vision and the goals that you're working towards, both short term and long term. So we do this in my mastermind, and we actually do it in the first 3 days in the 3-day live event together. So all of my students walk away from the live event with their main goals, their areas of focus, and broken down activities that will help them to make sure they're focusing on the things that are actually going to drive sales into their business. That's why in my mastermind, even before it started, and then once it started, within the first week, within weeks, my students have made their money back. They are making sales. They're booking sales calls. They're not waiting until the end of the mastermind to implement. They're not waiting until the whole mastermind is over. And then they're like, all right, let me implement everything I learned. Everything is focused on them taking weekly actions that are focused on their areas of focus in their business to make money ASAP. We are getting you paid ASAP. So what I do with them is I help them identify their vision. What is their goals? What are the immediate, or not immediate, but what are the goals they want to create for their business? And then what areas of focus, such as launching, writing copy, their self-concept, their embodied method, which is something I teach inside Magic Mind that teaches you to market and sell your offer. Like, what part of your business, maybe it's hiring a team, right? Like, what exactly is it that you want to focus on that helps create that main goal? And then from there, based on those 3 main areas of focus, how can you break those down into monthly tasks and then eventually weekly actions? And we even have a channel on our Slack, inside our Slack community labeled weekly actions to hold one another accountable. They post in it every single week and tell me what they're working on. And so that way we can, I know what they're working on. They send me things for review, like masterclass outlines, specifically the selling portion, emails that they want me to review, sales calls that they want me to review, which is all things that we do inside the mastermind. I offer them feedback on all of that. So really taking inventory of like, where's my time going? If I'm working like 8 hours a day and I'm not really seeing that many clients, or I feel like I'm working really hard, but at the end of the day, I don't really have a lot to show for it, I would really recommend you start tracking your tasks and seeing how much time you're actually spending doing things. Or are you spending like half of that time scrolling on Instagram, getting really distracted, right? Like I have an ADHD brain. So I've found a way that works specifically for me. Everyone is going to have to find a specific way of working that works for them, right? Like what's going to work for me might not work for you. So you have to really find what that is for you and begin to stick with it. I realize that I work better when I'm in a co-working space with other people. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the energy or I have like an open head center in human design. And so like, yeah, everyone else is working. I'm like, okay, I got to get to work. So you have to kind of find those little things for you after some trial and error of what helps you to create results in your business. And inside Magic Mind, we have these group calls that I call Focus Mind. And we have Focus Mind calls once a month, and they're co-working calls. And they all focus on one specific area of focus. So we just did a sales call feedback Focus Mind call. Before that, we did one on writing copy. It was a copy workshop. So I gave them time to co-work and write copy, come back and get feedback on it. So that's something that we do inside the mastermind, is giving you some time to actually work on the things you need so that it's on your calendar. And my students set up peer coaching calls where they'll coach each other on whatever they need. And they'll also set up co-working calls where they just show up, they work, and they tell each other what they've finished and what they've worked on. And it really helps to drive productivity. All right. The next one and the last one is evaluate. Evaluate is a money-making activity, because here's the thing. You can have 5 no's on sales calls and never know why. And It's not a problem. It happens, right? But if you're never evaluating what is creating that and you never actually know why people aren't saying yes, or you're never really getting down to the root of the issue of why you're not getting sales calls, or maybe you're like launching very, very often in your business and every the recent 5 launches have been a complete flop, and you keep launching without evaluating. You just keep going thinking that the next time is going to be fine without identifying, oh, that's what happened. Okay. Let's go in next time. Let's do it differently. Here's what we can do. Here's a different strategy for that. Right? If you're just repeating the same thing, hoping for a different result, that's literally the textbook definition of insanity. And, I'm all here for, delusion and completely believing in yourself in a really powerful way. But if something isn't working and you're not getting the results you want and you don't know why, it's your job to figure it out. Right? You are the CEO of your business. You are the business owner. Right? It doesn't run without you. And you know your business better than anybody else. Right? And I think working with a coach to figure this out and to evaluate and get coached and to have someone look through your material the way that I do in my with my mastermind students is extremely helpful. Cuts the time in half, helps you to create more money in less time. Amazing. Right? But you could also do this on your own. Right? You can also evaluate on your own. You can evaluate individual posts and how they went and what you think went really well and what didn't go so well. What would you do differently next time? You can evaluate your launch, right? And individual things that you did within the launch and really see, okay, what went well, what didn't go so well, what do I want to do differently, what do I want to double down on, what responses did this create, what got the highest level of what was my highest open rate, what was my highest click rate, what created higher conversions here versus a previous launch or a launch for a different program, right? There's so many things that you want to get down to the bottom of for your business, and being able to evaluate is something that helps you to do that. So another thing is, like, sometimes we get really complacent in our businesses, right? Like, especially if things are going really well, we kind of just expect it to roll like that. Or we've had a couple of really good launches and we expect, oh, I've got it in the bag. Now I know how to launch for the rest of my life. And every single launch after this is just going to be amazing. I've definitely been there. And then I was smacked in the face with a launch that didn't go as planned at all, didn't hit my goals. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Right? So sometimes we slack off a little bit, not intentionally, but we just think, oh, I got it. It's in the bag. Right. And that creates something called sales entitlement, where we're just entitled to sales and our selling gets a little bit lazy, a little bit less intentional because we're like, got it. No need to worry. No need to really pick my brain and figure it all out and get into my clients' brains and figure out how to speak to them. Like, this is a good time to factor in evaluating into everything you're doing and creating, right? So when you've created good money, what is it that you did? What is it that you said? What energy were you in? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? And if you had a failed launch, what happened? Like, get to the root of it instead of, oh, I'm so confused. I did everything. What could possibly go wrong? Right? Like, you want to learn to have a culture of evaluation in every single thing you do and in all the results you create. And what this ends up creating is full responsibility for everything you do, so that nothing was a fluke or an accident. When you hit 100K, you created that 100K, and you can go back and be like, this is what I was thinking, and this is what I was doing, and this is what I was believing and feeling, and these are the actions I took. You get to trace everything back rather than like, I don't know how I created the 100K. Right? When I hit my first 200K in business, I felt guilty and shameful, and I felt wrong. I felt all these emotions that felt really icky because I'd never made that much money before, and I felt bad. I felt like, oh my gosh, like, should this money go to someone else? Am I worthy of making this much money? I don't know. I felt so unsure of myself because I had just started working on my money mindset. I wasn't really able to like fully own it and feel it. It was just I was still working through a lot. And I wasn't taking full responsibility. I wasn't doing evaluations. And so when that money came around, obviously I had created it, but I didn't feel like I had created it. Like I didn't feel it in my body, like I could see that it was happening, but it almost felt like it was happening to someone else. It was almost like I could see it from above, but it wasn't embodied. And I felt bad for feeling bad because I was like, oh, here I am making so much money when just a couple years ago I was a single mom scraping pennies to buy myself a snack because I was starving, and prioritizing, my daughter being fed over me, to now I'm making, I made 200K and I couldn't even enjoy it. And so the feeling of that made me feel even worse. And so I really made it a point to work on my money mindset and to really be able to receive money fully in my body, in my energy, be an energetic match for money. I have some episodes on this, but I can also create an entire episode on being an energetic match for money and attracting more money into your life. And once I understood that, and once I worked on that and let it be an ongoing work, I began to just attract even more money and feel really good about it. That's one of my biggest things in my business for my students, is not just teaching you how to make a lot of money, but to make money sustainably and also joyfully. Because what good is it if you're going to make all of this money but feel like shit at the end of the day, or never be able to spend time with your friends and family, right? You want to build a business to create freedom in your life and to feel like the most you possible. And that's something I worked on really, really hard since the beginning of my business. Since I first hit 200K and felt guilty, I took serious responsibility. I don't think anything is a fluke or an accident. I'm about to hit my first million, and I know exactly how I created that, and what thoughts I thought, and what feelings I felt, and what beliefs I believed. And I just know all of it because I've evaluated so much, so often, so consistently in my business for so long, that I know what I did, and I know what didn't work, and I know what did work, and I know what I'm doing differently, and I know how my actions have changed, and how my mindset has changed, and how my revenue has changed because of it since the beginning of my business. Like I can literally outline for you 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. Like what did I do? How did things change, right? Like the way I run my business is different. My business model is different. The way I coach my students is different. My offers, I used to sell multiple different offers. Now I only have two main offers. They're both groups. I know how to scale my business. I've scaled it from zero to now nearly $1 million. Like there's so many things I know how to do, and I could do it again if I needed to. And I'm now teaching so many incredible students inside Magic Mind to do that, because I've gone through a lot of failure, a lot of joy, a lot of learning, right? I always like to say, like, even if you didn't hit the revenue goal that you wanted, you created that amount of money in lessons. You made, like, for example, if your program's like 5K and, you had a sales call that didn't go as planned, and, they said no, you still made 5K in learnings. So the next time you go on a sales call, you know how to evaluate because you knew what went wrong. You know what you're doing differently, and you get to make that 5K. That is the energy and the mindset of a successful entrepreneur that is always learning. And even when you don't make the money, even when you don't hit the goals, you create that in learnings, in knowledge, in education to go back out there and do it again. Because the most successful entrepreneurs are not the ones who are the luckiest or the smartest. They're the ones that just keep going. They keep getting back up. They keep doing things differently. They keep making mistakes, but they keep popping right back up onto their feet, trying it again, testing, evaluating, and experimenting all over again, over and over and over and over. And they just don't give up. All right. So those are my money making activities that I want to share with you. These are the biggest 5 things I did in my business to create nearly $1 million in sales revenue. And I'm so proud of my mindset. And there are times where if I was someone different, I think I wouldn't have been able to keep going. Like there are times in my business that I've cried and it's been really low lows. And there are times in my business where they've been incredible high highs, like being like my article being, published in Forbes a couple weeks ago. And now I'm about to hit $1 million in revenue. And I'm like just counting down, the dollars because it's so close. And they're just incredible moments, and also really disappointing and discouraging moments. And I think being a business owner is never just having amazing moments all the time. It's being able to hold both, like being able to hold the joy and the celebration and the gratitude for the incredible things that's happening in my business and what it creates for me. And then also being able to hold and process the disappointment and the discouragement and the very real uncomfortable emotions that putting yourself out there and taking risks just creates. So that's what I want to leave you all with today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you give me 5 stars and you leave a review and you DM me a screenshot of that review, I'll send you a little gift. And they would just mean so much to me, so I can serve more women of color, daughters of immigrants, to break generational cycles and make money in their business. It would just mean so much. And I want to remind you that Magic Mind, my 6-month business coaching mastermind for spirit-led coaches growing to 6 figures, is opening very soon for the next round. Early enrollment is happening December 11th to December 15th. So make sure you're on the wait list in the show notes to be notified. I'm also sending out some sneak peeks about what's going on in this round and all the details you need to be able to join us next round. You need to have made over 10K revenue in the past 6 months in order to join us. And we're working on a clear marketing plan, a custom sales strategy, making more money in less time, connecting with your truest identity, and really owning your magic inside this room. It's a room of women of color and generational cycle breakers and incredible entrepreneurs, coaches, service providers, healers, and incredible powerhouses who are changing the game, who are authorities in their business. So if that's you, come and join us the next round. Have me in your corner. Do not wait another round. Get on the wait list, and I will send you more information as early enrollment comes up. All right, I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.